Your opening pages might be the reason literary agents are rejecting your novel and readers are abandoning your story before it even gets going. That's why I talk about first pages more than any other topic on my channel. But I keep seeing writers make this same mistake over and over. 3 of my subscribers were brave enough to send me the opening pages of their manuscripts. And what's wild is that they're writing in totally different genres for completely different age categories, and yet all fall into this same trap. I'll start by reading all 3 manuscripts to you, and as I do, I want you to put on your editor cap and try to spot what the issue is. Then I'll reveal this mistake and give examples of how each writer could revise their manuscript to open the story much more effectively. You might catch what all of these manuscripts have in common pretty quickly, but understanding why it's a problem is the thing that most writers miss. Let's dive into Manuscript 1, which is Contemporary YA. I think I've made a mistake. The thought comes out of nowhere as the plane dips through a wall of gray clouds. My stomach drops with it, twisting tighter the lower we go. For a second, everything feels suspended. We're hovering somewhere between leaving and arriving, while my mind is hovering between, it seemed like a great idea when I booked it, and I should have just stayed home. The cabin shifts back to life. Seatbelts click into place, overhead bins creak open and shut, passengers rush down the aisle one last time, and babies cry in uneven bursts as flight attendants move through the rows collecting empty cups and crumpled wrappers from lunch. I fasten my seatbelt and sink deeper into my seat, trying to steady my breathing. My chest tightens anyway. In less than an hour, I'll be in the city I only know from my grandfather's stories about old Chevy cars and half-lit cigars, the same one he left in hope for a better life in New York all those years ago. Over 1,000 miles from home, alone, with nothing but a handful of Spanish words I picked up in a fluorescent-lit classroom in Brooklyn, and my grandfather before he died when I was 12. I'll be fine, I tell myself. It's just a language course. A month of sun, salsa dancing, Spanish lessons, and becoming a version of me who does things like this. But as the plane dips again, deeper into the clouds, doubt settles in heavier than before. My hand clenched around my iPod. A few weeks ago, this seemed like a desperate escape from the glow of my laptop screen. I can still see the Facebook notification that brought my heart to a halt mid-thump. Leo Ritchie is in a relationship with Sarah Miller. I spent 5 years being the girl he called at 2 a.m., the one who held his place in the cafeteria line, the one who listened to him play his guitar in his room while his parents fought in the other. I thought we were building something. Apparently, he didn't. Watching him look at Sarah the way he used to look at me before he realized I was just a friend felt like a slow-motion car crash. I didn't think too hard when I saw the flyer for a summer Spanish language course in Havana pinned to the community center board. I signed up before the tears in my eyes could dry, fueled by my grandfather's stories and a bone-deep exhaustion from playing the supportive best friend to the boy I was in love with since middle school, while my own life sat on the sidelines. I think a part of me knew that if I didn't put an ocean and a trade embargo between us, I'd eventually cave and confess my bottled-up feelings in a dramatic outburst. The plane jolts slightly, and a soft ding signals that we're getting closer. Okay, we learn a lot about the narrator in this opening scene. She's on her way to Havana to take a month-long Spanish course, which she enrolled in spontaneously after seeing that the best friend she's been in love with for years is in a new relationship. We also learn her late grandfather had ties to Havana and would tell her stories about it. She has a lot of internal conflict, which immediately helps us connect with her. But this opening isn't quite working, and I'll get to why. Now let's read Manuscript 2, which is Contemporary Middle Grade. Howard and Sasha were going on an adventure, or so their parents had told them last Tuesday, when they'd announced the family holiday this year was to Welcometh-on-Sea. Sasha thought it sounded suspiciously like being trapped in a car for 4 hours with her annoying little brother. We're going to the seaside? Sasha's mouth turned downwards. The sea was that salty pool you couldn't swim in without Mom and Dad there. Yep, we've got a whole week to look forward to. Howard looked a lot happier. Awesome! I'm gonna build the biggest sandcastle, and it's gonna have a moat and a drawbridge, and his mother and father gave each other a smile. The same slightly wobbly smile they'd been giving each other for a while now. I have it on good authority that there's an excellent fish and chip shop just next to the inn. And there's also spending money. You two will be completely sick of ice cream by the end, I guarantee it, said Dad. Sasha rolled her eyes. But Dad, I wanted to see my friends. How am I supposed to have any fun at a boring old inn? You'll just have to make your own fun, miss. There are sand dunes to explore, there's rock pools at the beach when the tide's low, and there's an arcade in town if you get really bored. But you won't, Dad winked at the rearview mirror. Humph, fine. She crossed her arms and huddled up on the backseat of the car, looking like a miniature storm cloud, thunderbolts and all. This writer has a nice handle on the family dynamics and middle grade voice. Sasha is doubtful that this trip will be the adventure her parents are promising, while her brother Howard is much more excited for it. But again, this opening isn't doing what it needs to do. If you haven't spotted the pattern between manuscripts 1 and 2 yet, this third manuscript will make it all click. This one is adult contemporary romance. I wish I'd left yesterday, but 5 nights of restless sleep, punctuated by bad dreams about the town of Augusta, fogged my brain, distracted me from packing. My tour's at 11. As long as nothing bad happens on the road today, I'll make it on time. After the second cup of coffee, my heart pounded in my fingertips with each step up the 3 flights to my apartment. I dragged the last distended trash bag to the street. The handle of my old cast iron pan pierces the plastic and clanks down the last few steps, like a bell at a railroad crossing. At the curb, the mountain of things I've discarded over the last few days narrows the downtown sidewalk: furniture, old medical textbooks, my tragically neglected plants that I hope someone more nurturing will take. Shadow and I scoot around it all. Trained for decisive action, I'm ready to go, but Shadow needs a little encouragement. After a few reassuring rakes through the fur at his neck, he scrambles into the passenger seat. As we pull away, a peach dawn glows on the horizon. The saying goes, red sky at dawn, sailor be warned. Heading to Georgia, a peach sky seems right. An hour and a half later, on the 2-lane highway, warm air whips around the interior of the car and over my skin like a frantic caress. Shadow sits at attention, panting in the passenger seat. You're okay, Shadow, I pet his leg. He's not a head out the window, ears flapping sort. The car stresses him out. His stress mirrors mine. I've got to call my mother, or she'll think I'm avoiding her, which I am. Evelyn, I haven't seen you in a while. A pulse blips along my nerves at the sound of my full name. You're about to see a lot more of me. I'm on my way to Augusta for work. This writer has a strong sense of voice, and like in the first manuscript, the narrator immediately expresses some regret and internal conflict. We sense something foreboding awaits her in Augusta, but we don't know what. Overall, we get much less detail on the situation at hand than in the other 2 manuscripts, but the writer dangles several interesting threads. Her old medical textbooks, her upcoming tour, her actively avoiding her mother. And yet, this manuscript has the same problem the other 2 do. So, what is this mistake that all 3 novels make? And were you able to spot it? They all open with the protagonist on their way to where the story actually takes place, but nothing of substance is happening to them in the present moment. Manuscript 1 opens with the narrator on a plane descending into Havana. Manuscript 2 opens with a family in a car driving to a seaside town for vacation. And Manuscript 3 opens with the narrator cleaning up at her apartment and then driving on the highway toward Augusta, Georgia. In all 3 cases, we're just watching the protagonist move from point A to point B, and the writer is using that uneventful travel time to provide backstory and exposition. But that's the fundamental problem with this approach. It just gives us setup, instead of actually starting the protagonist's journey. Rarely are travel periods exciting in and of themselves. I'm about to get on a plane tomorrow morning and plan to sit there for 4 hours and watch Netflix. So why would you open your novel with such a boring scene? When you open with a character in transit and they're just reflecting on their life, you're telling the reader, I know the interesting part hasn't started yet, but just be patient while I catch you up. And I already know what some of you are going to say in the comments. Why are you so impatient? Why can't you just enjoy a few pages of setup? This other novel opens with a character in transit, and it's one of the greatest literary works of all time. Modern literature is terrible because of advice like yours. I get where you're coming from, I really do, but hear me out. I'm not saying you can never have a travel scene. I'm just trying to get you to think seriously about where your story actually begins. Because most writers don't take the time to think about why they're actually leaning on these types of scenes. When I'm editing early drafts of manuscripts, writers almost always start the novel earlier than they actually should. This doesn't only happen with travel scenes, by the way, but those are the most obvious. Another example is when we open with the character waking up, going through their morning routine, then we see the play-by-play of their entire workday, all before the important action begins. Writers start with these slow scenes because it's typically how the story comes to them. They're trying to ground the reader in who the character is, what their normal life looks like, and what their primary concerns are. All of that is valid and important. But you can still establish who a character is and what they're grappling with in the midst of a charged moment where something consequential is happening. I promise if you do this right, your opening scene is going to be so much more dynamic, propulsive, and engaging. And that's how you pull a reader in from the very first page. So rather than starting your novel with your characters traveling somewhere, try dropping them at their destination on page 1. Show them in that new location, facing a hostile welcome or an obstacle they weren't prepared for. You can almost always start your novel later than you think you can, and usually your story will be better for it. There are always exceptions, by the way, and opening with a travel scene does not automatically mean your first pages are bad. But if you're going to do that, something consequential needs to happen during the journey itself that warrants showing it on the page. For example, The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins opens with a transit scene done well. We see Rachel's daily commute and the observations she makes during it. But those observations are important because they're the engine of the entire plot, so it makes sense to open with this. But for my subscribers' novels, I think the travel scenes were just being used as background. So let's talk about how these writers could revise to make for a stronger opening. And it's not as simple as just cutting the travel scene. By the way, if you want to submit your manuscript to me for critique in a future video, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter Chapter Break and join the premium tier. You'll receive weekly writing insights from me that I don't post anywhere on this channel, as well as exclusive interviews with literary agents and best-selling authors that are jam-packed with advice for new authors. Let's go back to Manuscript 1, where we see the narrator reflecting on the events that led to her signing up for the Spanish language course in Havana. What if this writer instead opened with the protagonist encountering her very first problem on the ground in Havana? Maybe she can't hail a cab because she can't speak Spanish well enough, which ties back to her need for taking the course. Or maybe she's at the doorstep of her host family and realizes it's the wrong address. Or maybe she arrives for her first Spanish lesson and realizes she doesn't have a textbook that everyone else does. That way, we'll see that she's overwhelmed and out of her element without the writer needing to tell us all of this up front via exposition. And as we're hooked into the action of seeing the narrator navigate this problem, the writer can weave in the background about her secret love and her late grandfather's stories. Now, Manuscript 2 is a middle grade book, but the same principle applies. Right now, the entire opening scene is essentially logistical exposition delivered via dialogue. The parents are explaining what the vacation will be, Sasha is expressing her doubts that it'll be any fun, and her brother Howard is expressing his excitement for it. My suggestion would be to skip the car ride entirely and open with the family arriving at the seaside town. Again, present that first problem they face on their vacation. Maybe the inn the parents booked isn't as it was advertised, and that causes a fight between them. Or maybe the fish and chip shop that their dad wanted to go to is boarded up. That way, the adventure will truly start on page 1, and that problem will actually give the writer fodder to showcase the family dynamics even more. How do each of them react to the problem? Finally, Manuscript 3 has a strong, mysterious atmosphere already, but I still think it would benefit from a later starting point. As written, nothing substantial is happening on the page physically. Evelyn drags trash bags from her apartment to the curb, then gets in the car and drives for an hour and a half. Anytime you have a substantial time jump like that on the first page, it may be a sign that you're taking us through a series of inconsequential scenes that we don't really need. These travel preparations do give us build-up, sure, but they're ultimately hurting the narrative momentum and pace. My suggestion is, you guessed it, to start the novel with her already in Augusta. We know she's going there for work, so what happens on her first day at the job? Or potentially she runs into a local who creeps her out. It seems like she's going to see her mother there, so maybe she could be brought into the first scene. That way, we'll get to see and experience all of the dread Evelyn is feeling about Augusta, rather than just being told about it in theoretical terms. Figuring out where to open your novel is one of the hardest but most important decisions you'll make as a writer. If you want a professional developmental editor to help you figure out where your story actually starts, submit an inquiry through my website. I've built a team of best-in-class editors who have worked at the world's largest publishing houses and top literary agencies, and we'd love to help you strengthen your story. Opening with a character on the way somewhere is almost always a sign that you're wading into your story gently instead of jumping right into it. So I challenge you to look at your own first page and ask yourself, honestly, Is something consequential happening here, or is my character mostly just thinking and reflecting? If it's the second, open at a later point, when the action really gets going, and trust that your reader will catch up. Here's a risk-free way to try out a new opening strategy. Open a brand new blank document. Don't touch your original manuscript yet. Then, in the new file, write the scene where your character encounters their first real problem. Write it cold, without rereading your old manuscript first. I bet you'll find that you're able to dive right into the heart of the story with ease. You may even find it's easier to weave in the expository and backstory details that the reader needs. And they likely need less setup material than you think they do. So now that you know where to start your novel, you need to make sure you're not making the other major mistake I see in first pages. So watch this video next, where I reveal how to spot shallow POV and what it means for your manuscript using more examples from my subscribers. Thanks so much for watching, and happy writing.